Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's LTA 2025 matchup.
Fighting.
Yep.
Everything else, like we did like some of our setups. We did like how we were leveraging the map, especially with those topside objectives.
You can play a clean early game in League of Legends, but if you lose back-to-back fights in that fashion, it's going to be hard to not lose the game afterwards. Dignitas now on blue side here in the pick and ban phase. Now to take away some of the Saint picks here. We see Yone and Silas banned out.
This also, interestingly, I think would mean that LYON picked red side, right? Purposely,
Yes,
which
they did.
It's very interesting. We don't see that as frequently, right? It means that they might be saving a certain counter pick potentially for Licorice, especially in the top lane, as someone who I'd be looking at. This is a team, and Licorice in particular is one of the players on the team who's been willing to play a lot of kind of slightly off meta things, especially in a fearless setup. They are the most fearless team we have, I think, as we see that Pantheon locked in for Dignitas. Really, really powerful jungle pick.
And if they end up locking in this Rumble, maybe it could be a flex pick, as we saw in the FlyQuest series as well.
But like Lions' solo queue history,
Yeah, to your point, Emily, LYON does have some of the most fearless drafts so far this split in terms of total champions played across the board. Corki could also be a flex between mid and bot lane. So if you are going to pick red side, I like picking these ambiguous champions.
Even at Corki as well. I mean, expecting it bot side, but theoretically can flex that one around too. So let's see what Dignitas want to answer into that one.
It's the same with Jace, right? Like if they end up locking in this hover here, as they do, this could, and I expect it to go topside for Surdy, but it also could go mid for Caney as well.
The one Caney game we saw on Jace left a lot to be desired, I'll say.
It was a little rough.
And it is Surdy. He's played it 3 times, so I do, again, expect it to go towards Surdy's hands, as if they lock in a victor here, that would solidify it.
Yep, and it looks like we probably will get our answer here, as Victor is locked in for Caney.
Nice little core there. They have a lot of poke, a lot of range, and then good early power from the Pantheon. I do like what Dig is doing with their bans to make a bit of a callback, since Saint is so often the engine that drives LYON. Trying to shut him down, at least with bans, is, I think, pretty smart.
Sure.
Yeah, and on the other side, we see that Maokai locked in for Audi. Really good setup, obviously, for the Rumble ult, and then potentially some Corki damage coming through if they want to pick a Jhin here as well. That might also be an option for them. So we see Lucian banned out by LYON on their side, and then we are starting to pinch the AD carry pool overall with the Kalista banned out by Dig.
So not convinced that Corki would be going into that bottom side there, thinking more likely for Saint in that mid lane, as we were talking about him kind of being
potentially. I mean, it just leaves your options open, right? Like they can run the double AD carry comp if they want to, just because Maokai does have a lot of setup. I actually do expect them to the Senna ban.
Yeah.
That tells me that she's been getting played in scrims. I know she's been getting played in solo queue by some of our LTA North AD carries. So removing that off the table from Tomo.
Yeah, keep that information in our back pocket as we keep watching games, either in this series or tomorrow. I know there's a lot of Senna enjoyers from the past with the Senna buffs that have happened. 14% soul drop rate, but it's not in this game. So we're going to move on to what they pick. So many bot lane bans already being thrown out, and also Varus Ezreal being taken out in the first game. So we're going pretty deep down the AD carry rabbit hole. Kai'Sa is a good pick, but not in this situation, I'd say, because there's no setup if they actually put the Corki mid. With Kai'Sa, you always want to have some hard CC to be able to fly in on. So they're really taking their time figuring out this bot lane matchup. It has to start with a blind pick.
Yeah, I do wonder, okay, so they did go the Jhin. I was actually expecting the Corki to go Bob, but
who's the imposter?
A very, very cute sign.
Who's the imposter out of that group?
But yeah, they are going to go this double AD carry comp, right, with the Maokai. Maokai is fantastic setup for all 3 of these champions, but in particular, the Rumble with the Equalizer, and then obviously Jhin Ultimate as well, as we see the Xayah locked in, and just Zyrakan. Bonded pair do not separate. I don't know.
So this is more of a, we have engaged with the Rakan, but also great anti-engage with Azaya with her own ultimate available. So that means you can dodge out things like the Maokai, things like the Rel. Congratulations on this weekend's bucket earner. I have their sign here as well. They did make one. If you want to get a bucket at the studio, make sure you have your own. Yep. I still don't have a bucket. I'm going to keep this sign, actually.
And at the back half of Lions draft, we do see that Rel being locked in for Lions. Lions definitely a support who favors these engage options, especially with the flanks he likes to be able to find for the team.
That was such a cursed drawing, by the way, of Nafiri.
It was great. What are you talking about?
the dog was coming out of the bunt. It's okay.
Look, did you know what it was?
I did know what it was.
There you go.
So you got the point across.
It's perfect.
What's
okay.
the point of art?
By that metric, I suppose I agree with you.
To express yourself.
Yep. And that person likes having below average things.
Oh!
Jad is insulting our audience.
Anybody else with a sign? Don't worry. Keep them held up.
They will be the worst. Far worse than that.
Maybe that'll be a new thing. Jat will roast your sign.
I was going to say, do you want to
studio.
get into a drawing competition?
Definitely not.
All right, well, as the coaches give their fist bump on stage, a reminder for non-subscribers, we'll see you in 30 seconds. But for everybody else sticking around here, Dignitas are one game away from locking in a playoff run potential. LYON are going to have to bounce back 2 in a row if they don't want their season to end early here.
And I do want to return to Lions draft just a bit because like we were talking about in that first game, team fight execution was kind of where they stumbled close to the finish line. So this draft does give them a very easy team fight setup, right? Like you know exactly what this composition wants to do. Meanwhile, on the Dignitas side, we do have another semi-global champion, right? To try to make those numbers uneven, potentially play around side lanes, especially with Surdy on that Jace. So we'll see. And here is that throw back to LYON entered this week being the most fearless team in the LTA North with 46 unique champs played across the entire team, as you can see them listed out there. So
and I actually don't see Gwen on that, so maybe add more to the list.
They just became more fearless.
More fearless.
After game 1.
No one's calling LYON a coward. I'll tell you that right now, at least not in draft.
And I think this game is going to be easier for them to play because everybody on Dig is a potential engage target. That's what I don't like about this particular Dignitas composition. While they probably drafted pretty well for the matchups, like Victor, he can scale, Pantheon will be strong, Jace is a good blind pick if you're confident with it, and Zyra Khan is a good pair. But who is the tank? Who is going to play frontline in these fights? They don't actually have roles for that, so I feel like the Maokai ultimate or just wherever Rel goes are going to be such great things for LYON in this game because anyone that any of those spells find is a danger of dying right away.
They're going to have to use very defensive summoner spells here. As again, we see Tomo having a lot of ability with that between the Cleanse as well as the Feather Storm, but outside of that, everyone else in a little more danger here as we see the Tri-View. Saints taking a big trade onto Kaney in the mid lane and heavily winning that one out. Oof. Hits level 2 early. Kaney shoved all the way back to turret.
Yeah, that's a tough trade for him to take, as we see, just keeping track of the jungle starts. Audi starting on the top side of the map and should be pathing bot. Meanwhile, Shaden starting on this bot side and should be pathing top. I do believe each of those wards did spot out where the junglers were, so both teams should have that information.
Yeah, I gotta say, Kaney's going very early game in his runes in this Corki matchup. He's took Scorch in the Sorcerer's Tree, but then he also has Unflinching and Second Wind from his Resolve tree.
But look at this. I mean, he was almost up to half health, but it doesn't matter. Saint still just takes very aggressive trades regardless.
It's a good thing he's got that Second Wind. It's already healed him for 75 so far in the laning phase.
Look at that.
There you go.
95 now.
Laning stats. He's also been dodging a lot of those phosphorus bombs as Saint tries to throw them in during the trading patterns. And hitting these lasers, Saint is low. You're always got to be careful about the flash Q auto just being able to one-shot you, but...
It's a tight lane.
Yeah, they're both so low.
This would be why... I mean, originally I'm like, why would you go early game runes on Victor? You're just going to scale anyway. And it's because he wants to be able to fight Saint. Otherwise, he would have been pushed off the wave. He might have even died if he didn't have Second Wind in this matchup. So, well played early by Kaney to stay in the lane after taking some early bad trades.
Bodyland taking this bot side crab. Meanwhile, Shaden taking the top side. They both might be looking for an angle onto mid.
Yeah.
But no.
They both still have flash available, but both of them teleported back to lane. So if you find a kill, that is huge, because it will just guarantee a one lane for the opponent. But neither one going to find it. Instead, just a farm fest between Caney and Saint with a little bit of poking in between. Got a reset from Tomo and Isles there as well, so that's Cole picked up for Tomo. Still heading towards that bottom side. As Dragon spawning in 50 seconds time, we'll see if either of these jungles or teams want to put any early prio on it. We saw it really go by the wayside last game.
Yeah, we really did, and then the game ended up extending a little bit. I think it's another one of those top lane matchups that's pretty important, so it might end up drawing the junglers towards that area of the map. Whether or not the Jace can get ahead of the Rumble or vice versa can really dictate a lot of how the mid game works.
Yeah, and you see Dig actually have some good vision set up on the top side to catch out anything that would have happened. As it so happens, both junglers are just kind of staying exactly even, and then backing. I was kind of hoping, if you'll allow me to lament a little bit, that some of the early changes would mean that we'd get more of those kind of three camp gank looks that we had seen previously from Contracts and Umpty. We have not seen that really thus far, at least in the LTA North. So those two junglers.
I'm sure they do in scrims, probably.
I mean, they'll probably be flippier in scrims. I would say that like the three camp ganks will still suffer some of the same drawbacks if you don't have early vision on the enemy jungler. Nice block by Isles.
Well done to Isles there. The Blade Caller does root up Lions. Nice trade back. Yeah, Isles just maybe saved a summoner spell from Tomo. He probably had to flash there if not.
But in these last two games, in terms of like both teams' plan going in, no one's making an early risk to even get a deep ward. So without a deep ward, you're never going to do a three camp gank.
Flash available. They're just going to make the play immediately onto Saint. He buffers it with a Valkyrie, and now
I mean,
one more Q has it. Flash from Saint. He's out of there.
Saint really didn't want to burn his flash, but Shaden forced him to with that last move.
Ooh, the grand entrance. This one missing from Isles there. But Saint, again, doesn't have the teleport, so he's going to have to run back to lane. Is actually in a fine spot, though, because Caney was not able to get the full wave shoved in.
Yeah, and as we see Audi taking a look at that Drake right now, about halfway through it, and we'll see if Dig, as we still see so much trading on the spot side, see if Dig do want to revisit that mid lane now with Saint's flash down in a bit.
Yeah, and I gotta say, as much as I love the idea of early ganks from junglers, this is the downside. If you don't pull off the gank, if you don't get the kill, now you're a little behind in the jungle. You give up the dragon early to Adilan, who's just going to keep farming up on the Maokai. Hit level 6 before going for that grub fight.
Pretty risky move there by Dig with how deeply they checked that Drake and picked up those plants, because if Audi had flash W'd onto the Rakan, there's a chance, or sorry, the Zayad, there's a chance they could have at least burned the cleanse flash from Tomo, but Audi did not do that because he didn't know where Pantheon was, and the extra shield stops the recall.
Yeah, I still remember like season 5 learned that interaction. Ooh, Chaos Storm dropped down from Caney. Okay. Saint getting the ultimate out of Victor before the grub fight. That's actually pretty big. And when you factor that with the fact Pantheon's ultimate a little less impactful than a Maokai is there, this could set up Lion to take the grubs.
Yeah, I mean, Lion have already rotated their bot lane towards the top side. Interestingly enough, Licorice did end up TPing onto that bot tier 1, right? So Surdy will have TP advantage if a fight does break out at the grubs, which is an important thing to keep track of, as both mid laners' TP should be up around the same time and prior to that fight.
If they can just delay it, Caney should come up in time.
Yeah, as we'll see.
And
so Dig should have the front, the ability to contest these grubs right now. You can see Surdy is just cheating away from the wave in case a fight does happen to TP in. And since he pushed Licorice all the way back in, like, Dig kind of has an extra person here, even though the TP will be a little slow since it's only 8 minutes in.
And again, Caney not having ultimate, Victor still can make a lot happen in these fights regardless, especially when you have Tomo with ultimate available right now. But Surdy and Licorice just taking their own little trade bot side, as it's instead Dignitas at start up the grubs. Despite Lion having their bot lane there first, they are not confident enough to start these off, as Tomo's all alone right now. He might have to use something here in defense. Sells cleanse, sells flash, and he's fine. Blade Caller even rooting up Henna. That just buys more time for Dignitas to take 2 grubs, and Adilan won't even look for the smite steal on the 3rd. That is all 3 picked up.
It's going to be a nice bonus for Dig, especially in the later game if Jace can start getting a side lane advantage and chip away at plates. I'll also say that something I've definitely noticed in about the 2 weeks that we've had this new one camp of grubs at 8 minutes, people just don't care as much about grubs as they did last patch, I feel like. Giving away 3 grubs doesn't feel like it's something teams are necessarily scared of, so I'm seeing a lot of 3 grubs just being uncontested going over the other team.
Yeah, it seems to be now, at least from the team's perspective anyway, it seems to be now like nice if we have it, but...
Which is really funny since 3 grubs now is better than 3 grubs when there were 6 grubs.
Yes, but it's not 6 grubs.
But they cared about the 3 grubs individually. There were more fights over 3 grubs.
Make it make sense,
get 6 grubs.
Make it make sense.
It's really interesting psychology.
It's the potential.
The
human brain is fascinating.
It's like how we're still seeing Leandry's built by pretty much everybody here still, despite the nerfs. It still has a function.
No other options in this one. Maokai needs to have the Faded Ashes, otherwise his jungle clear doesn't function.
Lion going for a fight at the crab. Yeah, but with Shada not nearby, this should belong to Adilan here. Okay, well, we're a bit of a lull state as it's a minute and 20 seconds until that dragon comes up. That could be the magnet for more action. But as of right now, pretty even game state, all things considered. So I want to take some time to talk about the history of some of these supports here, as it's Alliance versus Isles, both of them GOATs in their own region. If we're talking about Isles from the OPL, playing in Australia, if we talk about Lions in the LLA, I mean, Lions is kind of accolades. He's still young in his career. He's only been playing for a couple of years now, and within his first split, he's already making international appearances. He's made 3 so far. Isles as well. Isles got here a little earlier. Hasn't made as big of a splash in NA. So I think Lions is trying to kind of buck that trend of being great in your own region, then come to the north and have a struggling start.
I just needed to defend some other OS supports, like Ayla, who's won an MVP as well. If you're going to start calling I was the GOAT of the region, no.
Okay, fair enough.
He was a very good player in Australia before coming over here into the LTA.
Does he have a pentakill?
Ooh, that's a good point, actually. I don't believe he does. All right, you got to get on that, Isles. Let's lock in some Pike. Let's lock in some Pantheon. One of those is in the meta right now, kind of. Being played by the jungler right now. And speaking of, Shaden going for the Grand Starfall on the Licorice in the side lane. That is first blood. 11-20 minutes on the board for Dig.
I mean, it looks like Dig is playing a fairly controlled game up until this point. I'm curious to see if they're just giving over the second Drake as well, but they're going to try and extend this gold lead and maybe really blow it open with Sturdy, because at the moment, there's no Corki up there. Licorice has no teleport, and they should be able to take probably all this turret.
Yeah, they'll be able to get this tier 1 turret down, especially with
Not
those...
all of it.
No. I mean, with the grub, I think they might have been able to, but they don't want to just completely throw it. And Saint was walking up there, so okay.
So Saint's going to be here, but a lot of chip damage on that turret, and then Lion trade that back on the bot side. Their bot lane is also going to be pushing this in, as Audi trying to get in on these Raptors.
I like the way that Dig is playing the early game, though. I still think they're going to have some issues in the mid and late game having good team fight setup just because they don't have a traditional front line. But if they're able to actually keep this Jace accelerated and have Victor be able to win the 1v1 against the Corki as well, they can flank with the Xayah and be the Xayah Rakan and be the ones to actually start the fights. Then the front line wouldn't matter as much.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, is try to be able to play around Jace potential split push pressure, and then whenever you can see an opportunity like that Pantheon ult that we just saw onto topside for First Blood, try to make uneven numbers, get picks in side lanes so you can continue essentially sending Jace to destroy those turrets. So it's a good game plan set up from them.
So I was going to look for maybe a cheeky little steal here. Instead, just jumps away as Isles not going to land onto Saint there. Lions and Adilan protecting their mid laner on the top side of the Rift. Saint has not gotten as big of a lead as we saw in that game 1. And I mean, we're not quite at that 14-minute mark, but we're getting there. Jet, what are the stats when Saint is like dead even in lane at 14?
I wish. It's still going to count as negative if he's down 65 gold. So
okay, fair enough.
Another fun fact, we told this to Licorice last week. The winner of this series, actually including this series, needs to win 5 best ofs to actually win the LTA playoffs, because they'd enter playoffs in the lower bracket.
Okay.
Then once you're in playoffs as the lower bracket, you would need 4 wins to actually win the title. So it's a journey for either of these teams to win the LTA.
That would be a journey, and all best of 5s and playoffs as well. So that's as well going to be an extra layer for Fearless Drafting. Dignitas trying to make a play for that top turret, but again, it's answered here by Saint with Lions helping him out. But you think maybe on this next wave they could go for it unless they want to TP Licorice up there.
I mean, as long as they keep the Victor shading towards that side and they have Pantheon not shown on the map, they're going to just be able to get it for free because Lion doesn't want to risk getting engaged on and giving away even more gold.
And I love seeing this too. You don't have to rush it. Let it take out some of the CS away from your opponent here. Make sure that you're up.
He's also waiting for the next wave to get a little deeper. If he would have killed the turret right away, he would have had to completely give up that wave. Now the Corki's shown on the wave. It's a little different, but he really wants to continue to farm, and that's the danger, actually.
Nice from Isles to block up the ultimate to start things off. Let's Tomo save his ult, save the cleanse, save the flash. Dignitas, get out of there. Isles have been playing this game very well. Between even just early laning phase, just denying Lions' engage, that play right there, saying, use my body as a shield. You get out of there, AD carry. I like this defensive style.
Yeah, and also it's 1 part defensive style, 2 parts Lions trigger pullers are a little bit different. Like Saint was so dominant last week on Yone and Ahri. Yone's been banned the whole series. Ahri was played game 1, so now it's banned. They also banned the Silas on top of that. So putting him on Corki, like how is Saint going to create a play? It has to be Lions or Audi.
Well, the big thing for me is they now don't have that Maokai set up for this Rift Herald. They do have a lot of damage on it.
Could be a fight. Jace TP.
And here we go. Engage, and it's Shaden with the steal on the Herald. Dignitas, can they win the fight afterwards? Isles already goes down, but Tomo repositioned with the rest of the team. Licorice on the flank. Can't find much more. That's 1 kill picked up. Curtain call to slow him down, but no more play for Lion. That is a stolen Herald, but a kill to Lion.
Yeah, and we did talk about kind of this team fight setup, right? Like ideally, if you're Lion, you want that Maokai ultimate for it, right? To just be able to protect the Herald for yourself, be able to set up for this Jhin and Rumble, but that is not what ends up happening.
Isles evaporated. It's nice that they were able to steal it with Pantheon, but I'm watching Isles here. Whoa! He is alive, and he's not.
Yep.
It didn't even look like it was the 4th shot. It was just everyone hitting him and Corki landing EQR on him that just completely evaporated him through his heel.
But end of the day, that is now another neutral objective there, plus the first turret. So we're on track here to go for the feats of strength for Dignitas. And I gotta say, this is just not how I expected the series to go. I want to take a moment to zoom out here and talk about expectations. I definitely favored Lion coming into this match, but based on how this game is going, we could be at a 2-0 Dignitas get into playoffs, and Lion again struggling in the regular season and not making the push.
Let's watch this Drake, though. Maokai excels when he has river control and can throw saplings in the brush, and Dick has no frontline.
Tomo's going for flash out of Henna. You have to get away from the Blade Caller, and now no flash there, no curtain call. Henna's going to have to play this next dragon fight very safely.
Yeah, and Surdy's here, so they are going to pop that Herald now that they have established mid-prio. Audi is already on the Drake, though.
Could be down to Saint.
He does have ultimate.
Yeah, I think they just have to walk away, though, with the Herald mid. Licorice now grouping up with everybody, but Dignitas aren't burning it fast.
Yeah, watch for Audi with the Maokai ultimate on the side, and then Lions for the engage. This is going to be a fight.
Nature's Grasp used. It's going to, again, tanked up only by Isles. Just barely hits Kania, and now Equalizer on top. Shaden's back into the pit, but he's all alone. No flash available. If Lion just pounce on him, he could be in trouble. Grand Starfall! He gets out of there! Jumps out of the pit. Emergency ejection. As the dragon does go down, Adiland picks it up.
Lion will take it, though. They're on soul point now for Hextech.
And now curtain call as well. Isles. Oh.
Speaking of fishing, Henna fishing for something with his ultimate off of there. But yeah, I mean, I feel like Lion will definitely take that, right?
Oh,
because
Licorice, don't get caught. Okay, he's fine. He's good. Is he?
Kaney is just waiting, but they don't necessarily have eyes on the rest of them. Could be a trap. They really want to get the gold on this turret, so Isles comes over.
And Surdy being the bait right now. Kaney's still in the brush. They just blow up Licorice. Dignitas with another kill and another turret.
Baited and outsmarted there. He just waited long enough. Getting the kill on Victor will be very big. He's done the Catalyst sit and hold strategy, which is a laning buff since the Catalyst stats are good, and Roa ended up being nerfed. He may end up sitting on this Catalyst the entire game. But this is such an interesting game state now where Dig looks to be ahead, but they don't have a great ability to push LYON off objectives and its soul point.
We talked about how LYON's last game went, the team, the confidence, having to shake that one off after a disappointing end. And so far, I mean, they're still in it, but the fact that they're losing some of these kills, they're losing a lot of the map control, it's going to come down to this Dragon Soul. That is kind of their big, win so far in this game too, but still back slightly against the wall just when you look at how much gold is in the pocket of Dig.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing for me is, again, if they end up making a push onto this mid-tier 1, as Tomo is going to clear this out and they're kind of pinging it out, make the map as dark as possible and then set up this split push with Surdy on the Jace, right? Like, make it super uncomfortable for LYON to be able to get into these teamfight setups with this composition that they have. And then send Surdy to side lanes to have kind of perma split push control. He is your strongest point in this game.
Isle's going to be taking up even more ultimate shots here as, wow, Nature's Grasp used very, very aggressively. And with that blast cone, Dignitas get out of there.
That's a lot of engage tools down for LYON, and Dig might start retaking towards the Otacon here. It's such a strange game. We've had more objectives killed than we have champions.
True.
We still have not given away the feat of warfare. 20 minutes into the game.
That's pretty rare.
Our latest feat of warfare, I believe, was in the Shopify game where Fudge got it off the back of a
random kill at the end of a fight.
Yeah. I wonder if this is going to be later than that. I think that was like around 23 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, we could just set a record right here. We'll see. Hey, I mean, Dignitas, again, I posed the question. How bad do they want the top 3 longest record in LTA for games? And maybe they're on track?
Have the longest games, play next week.
Yeah.
What's it going to be?
If you're going to pick one,
look, a record's a record,
play next
Jet.
week.
Oh, wait, anybody can get a win.
They already
but
have
a record?
the record, don't they? They already have the longest game.
The longest. Sure. Okay, fair enough. But a podium? Oh, sweeping the podium.
It's not worth it.
Okay, all right. I'm sure for the fans at home as well, they agree here, as we could see action around this Otacon at any moment here. Or just to go for the feat of strength. Again, Dignitas just 1 kill away from claiming that one.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, are they? Yeah, 'cause the first turret as well, yep. We're caught up.
Yep. They also got, Herald and Grubs.
No dragons yet, though.
I mean,
again, LYON.
It's going to be a slow play until the soul. That's what LYON would be comfortable with, not to mention it is still fairly difficult for Dig to have appropriate setup. And just like looking at the way this map is falling right now, since Otacon spawned on the top side, they kind of need to keep a little bit of vision presence up there, which almost prevents them from all-inning for this next Drake. I do wonder, though, like, it says that they're 4,000 gold ahead, but I'm looking at the items and it doesn't look like they're 4,000 gold ahead. The only big advantage, they just have the BF sword and an uncompleted Muramana just ticked over for Surdy. So now they feel about an item ahead across the board, which isn't much.
Got to spend the gold in order to actually have that advantage here. As LYON currently have the advantage at the access point to Dragon. Control ward placed in the river. It's going to be a battle for mid lane control, and Dignitas' mid turret will definitely help them out in that regard.
I mean, Kaney's got to get down here. So he pushed in, and he's finally teleporting in. They cannot let LYON burst this down, because I think they might just lose the game if they go up the soul.
Nature's Grasp is available again on Audioland, though. So LYON can just use that to zone off all members of Dignitas. They lose control of the midway for right now, but Dignitas are not going to make their engage right away. But look at the flank from Isles.
This is it. This is the fight.
I believe he was spotted, though, and spotted again. So they know that the Rakan is on the flank. Isles is going to have to play very carefully now, because if he gets picked out, that could just be Dragon Soul over to LYON. So he's got a grand entrance away. Dodge out the Deadly Flourish.
I mean, that was huge, though. It pulled all of LYON into the river, which allowed them to retake that brush without having to face check it with any of their champions.
And now suddenly all the vision over to Dignitas. They get the control wards in the river. They get mid-push yet again. LYON, maybe it's just a 50-50 attempt from Audioland.
I think Dig saw him recalling, though, so they're just going to try and burst it.
Yep. LYON's no longer there. Curtain Call pulls up. Shaden guarantees the take on the Dragon. Nature's Grasp used. Tomo taking a lot of damage, though, from the Curtain Call, and Dignitas could be in some trouble now. LYON's with the engage. Shut down for Licorice. That's 2 that fall. Make it 3 as Isles is in a lot of trouble. Does Saint pick it up? There it is. 3 over to LYON.
What happened to the health bars, man? That was the strangest fight. I panned up to the top side, and
Yep.
Dig was all at 25% health.
That was curtain call. I mean, look at Tomo. He just gets hit by bullet after bullet.
Yeah, it's curtain call, and also, again, the fact that they're able to join so quickly with these Hex Gates, so you do have Saint
Boom.
right here. Yeah, Tomo takes a ton of damage, then Nature's Grasp goes out,
Yeah.
Shaden explodes, Lions ends up being able to get his CC down onto Tomo, and then Saint is just kind of doing damage across the back half of this fight the entire time. That will now give them Otacon as well.
Sad that
see
they lost
again the
Drake.
reaction.
Happy
Yeah.
that they won the fight. Stressed overall.
We don't need to go when we got the dragon too.
But how can
Got
they
kinda
win like this
broke.
fight?
Wondering how to fight. I mean, it's going to be tough. There goes Otacon. You can see
Yeah.
completely gone. Gold a lot closer as well. I feel like even if that fight where Dig was up about 3,000 gold going in, the saplings slowed them enough that the curtain call and the Corki were just poking them down. It's a tough one for Dig to win, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, now their gold lead is a lot smaller, right? You have that permanent Otacon buff for LYON, and then additionally, as we already talked about, this team fight setup from LYON is really good, provided that they're able to get in there, right? So if Dig are not able to split the map, it's going to be really difficult because they will have to group and they will have to fight. And we kind of already saw from that last fight when Isles was trying to look for the flank, it did end up funneling all of LYON in, but then they were still able to set up the team fight and win on the back half of it.
Look at him. So far ahead of everyone else.
He's confident. He's got the summoner spells. He's walking up to try and poke out Isles because we talked about how squishy Dignitas comp is. If you can zone Isles out from the fight or just poke him out early, Dig do not have a lot of options after that. Maybe they can find their own poke with Surdy. Maybe Shaden can just fly in over the top and threaten Henna or Saint, but usually going to be a one-way trip for the Pantheon there. It's all about control over the Baron right now. It's the Baron dance here. 26 minutes in as another Nature's Grass goes out. Isles yet again going to tank that one up just fine. But he's getting poked and actually taking a lot of damage. That's Equalizer down. 2 ultimates and the curtain call will catch him. 3 ults invested. LYON get a kill.
This is LYON just knowing that there's no one on Dig who's allowed to get hit by Maokai ultimate. As soon as you do, they're going to chain down the rest of the damage. Still at a gold deficit, but completely dictating the lines of the fights.
Yeah, it's just so easy for them to set up fights with this team composition. As Tomo gets rooted there. They're not going to go in on it, though, because, I mean, Dignitas do still have a good amount of poke coming out of their team. So LYON do have to be careful, but if they ever get set up, this is what happens.
Yeah, and also it's really scary to team fight when you don't have your Equalizer, you don't have your Nature's Grasp, and you're against a Victor in the Baron pit. That's where Victor can really shine, and I feel like Kaney, he's kind of scaling up here. He will become a problem in these team fights as he will be able to do a lot of damage. I love to have a Victor on my team in the late game.
I agree, but the late game is just not soon enough because the build is just so slow. He only has the 1 kill. His CS is fine, but not exceptional. He's at 166 AP, 27 minutes into the game. So he will have the ability upgrades at this point, I believe, but he's still just not.
And now he's face checking a brush, so a bit of a caster curse here as Kaney gonna find himself hunted by LYON. There's Grand Starfall knocked back with a Bramble Smash. Shaden cannot get the kill on the Licorice, but Adi, you gotta be careful here.
Probably
be respectful. Ooh, Twist Advance to dodge out on the Q. Lions as well. That splash out of Shaden from bad the worst for Dignitas. He's slowed down. Lion's gonna get the flick back, but no Shaden. He had the E come back up, gets the move speed, gets out of there.
Slippery Pantheon, but still a big win there for LYON. Wouldn't have mattered actually if Kaney had more items in that case. He didn't have the health to deal with fighting multiple people at once, but it just gives a lot of pressure back to LYON, especially with Drake being up in 12 seconds. Maybe he can teleport back in, so Dig, if they want this, they're going to have to make a fast play.
The bigger thing is no flash on Shaden, so he's not going to have a great way to get into the pit if he's zoned out by somebody like Lions. Or even just like Saint and Licorice poking him down.
This is so hard for Dig to play.
Shaden, how do you get into the pit at this point? You're great at stealing as the Pantheon,
no flash, no
but
ult.
it's not looking ideal. Isles,
they got to fight.
Trying to make things goofy here, looking for the flank as the Rakan. Lion trying to hold the line. Lion's there, and they secure the Dragon. That is Dragon's soul. Now, do they take the fight afterwards? Curtain call from Henna, slowing down Shaden as the rest of Lion. Pack Tactics group up together, take the fight front to back. They get one, and Nature's Grasp is going to catch out Isles. And what a crash down from Lions. Double kill to Adiland. Almost a sweep of a fight as Tomo has to use the Feather Storm. Still falls. Clean ace to Lion.
Teamfight execution was the problem in the first game. Not so here, where they had that early Drake stacking, even with Isles trying to get this flank in, right? Just look at Henna on the backside of this, just absolutely free firing. Shaden ends up going down, then the Nature's Grasp comes out, and as we already talked about, once you get snared by that, you get a Rumble ult on top of your head. It's not going to be fun.
I mean, Audi sets everybody up. That was an alley-oop to Lion's Rel there to get 3-man full CC into killing absolutely everyone. It had been close. It did look like Dig was in an okay position, but the team composition really came online for Lion now. They have the soul and most likely are pushing us to game 3.
Yep, and almost a 6K gold lead. So I do, again, it goes back to what we talked about in the draft, right? Like where they recognized where their weak spots were in the first game. They put together a draft where it's very easy to execute. You have a really good setup, really good range over neutral objectives, and it's been looking good.
Yep. Now Sync going to take out a tier 2 turret in the bottom side, as with this Red Bull Baron power play, already about 2,000 in the pockets of Lion. They are firmly in control of this game. Dignitas are going to have to find a miracle play in their own base as another Nature's Grasp goes out. Isles yet again takes it up this time. It also hits Tomo. He has to cleanse, and that is just a dead bird on my screen. Isles goes down again as Lion now curtain called once again, pushing the wave bot side. Folks on that bot Nexus turret. Dignitas got to pull something out of the bag here in a 4v5 defense, but so far, it's only 3 of them. Shaden's not even there. Maybe he's looking for the ult angle, but he just can't quite find it. Lion are going to bounce back in this one as Shaden jumps onto the backline looking for Licorice, but he's taken out of there. Lion bounce back. The cornered animal is the most dangerous, and Lion are bringing us to game number 3.
We talked about the team fight execution. This was also team comp execution. They waited for the right power spikes. They stacked Drakes the whole time, and once they were online, the game was over.
Yeah. I mean, that was control from Lion, a very slow burn. We didn't have our first blood until after 10 minutes. We didn't have feat of strength until after 20.